Hey, this is Passy from Passy's World of ICT, the guy with the white hat. And we've got another lesson in the Southern Dog Club database build. And today we're going to be building a thing called queries. Okay, so this is something you do in Microsoft Access and all databases, and we'll be working on queries. All right, now remember, I'm a bit of a slow talker, so make sure you increase the play speed of this video to 1.5 or even 1.75 speed. You go down to the tools cog on the player bar, then click this little arrow and set it to 1.5 or 1.75 for the playback speed. The other thing about this video is it's going to be a long lesson. We've got a lot to cover. We have to build 9 different queries in this lesson. So there'll be a video timeline index when you go to the video description. So look, take breaks by all means. Like you could take a break. This isn't this project, but this is another one. You could take a break after creating Access Database Project. You could just take a break there, and from the timeline, you know to come back here and click on this blue time number, and that'll take you to that spot. So yeah, don't try and do it all in one hit. It's probably going to be too long. So just take breaks, and you can always come back to the timeline index. So queries, real world databases like eBay is one of the biggest and giant and best databases. And I love ASICS running shoes. They're my preferred ones. And you can just bring them up on eBay and see lots of them for sale. And when eBay does this, when you say that you want just the ASICS gel ones, it doesn't bring up all the runners it's got. What it does is it just brings up the ASICS one. So it's filtered everything out and just got a little subset of all of the runners on eBay. We're just showing some of them, and that's what a query does. It just shows some of the data, not all of the data. Now, as of 2020 this year, eBay processes 300 billion data queries a day with people searching for things. They've got 195 million active users, 1.3 billion live users. Now that takes up about 500 petabytes of space, which is 2.5 million hours or 285 years of watching YouTube videos. All right, so eBay runs very sophisticated databases and server farms to enable that 500 petabytes of data obviously to be searched and for your results to come so quickly onto the screen. All right, so in this training lesson, we're going to be doing the following. We'll set up queries that can extract, sort, and filter specific data from our database tables. We're going to use the queries to create this reporting so that Juanita can more efficiently run the club and have more free time to spend with her doggies that she loves. So we're going to have a report of all members' phone and email contact numbers. So if we need to contact anyone, we can just look at that report and find their phone or email really quickly. We're going to have a report of all the dogs that are in the club, report of the dogs which are not desexed yet, and we're also going to keep up with our members that haven't paid their fees yet so that we can chase them up. So we need a report of unpaid fees. And we're also going to perform mathematical calculations as part of that unpaid fees query. So you'll learn how to put some mathematical calculations into a query as well. So it can extract the data, plus it can do maths on the data as well. All right, now the start database. You'll need the start database from the downloads for this lesson, or you could use the database that you had finished with when you did the validation of masks lesson. They should both be the same 2 databases. So that's available in the downloads file. And in the downloads file, you get detailed instructions step by step. Basically what's covered in this video done as step-by-step printed instructions if you don't want to watch the video, and you get a finished database as well, so you can check yours against the finished one to see maybe what's missing or why something isn't working. So you do get a version start database to get started with, and a finished one, which shows you what it should look like when this lesson is completely finished. So it's well worth getting those downloads, especially if you're a teacher. I think it's about $3 US to get that downloads for 30 students in your whole class. So well worth it. Now the queries needed for the club, that was detailed in the analysis document, which we did in the first lesson. And these are the ones we need: an email list of members, a phone list, and then a contacts list that has both their email and their phone. Now, why wouldn't we just have the contacts list? Well, we might want to just give someone a phone list but we don't want them to also know the people's email addresses because we want them to actually phone them up. So if we had someone working in the office, they might be lazy and just email them, but we want them to phone them. So we just want a list there with the members' names and their phone numbers. Okay, and the overdue fees list is really important to find out who owes money at the moment so we can chase up the money. Then we need a list of all the dogs in the club, and then we want a more sophisticated list that has not just the dogs, but it tells us who owns the dog as well. So that's going to be using two tables. That's a dog owner's one. We want to know all the dogs that are registered in Kingston. The club's located in Kingston, which is the central area of Bayside, Melbourne, but it does have dogs from other municipalities as well. So I want to get the Kingston Regos, and then we want to get the non-Kingston Regos of all those dogs. Find out information about the dogs which are still Bayside. They're in the Southern Dog Club, but they're not actually in Kingston, the central part of the dog club. And then we need to follow up on dogs that are not desexed, because it varies for the type of dog you've got as to whether you have to wait 6 months, a year, or 2 years to get it desexed. So any dogs over the age of 2, we need to follow up and see why they haven't been desexed yet. All right, so email addresses query. Let's start off with that one. Now this one should be pretty simple. We should just be able to go to the members table and then just get people's names and their email addresses. Okay, so we just don't want all the information in the table, just like we didn't want all those runners that are on eBay. We just want the people's last name, first name, and their email address. So we want to sort of pull this information out, select this information, and just have that on its own. So for simple queries like this that only use one table, where you can get it all from one table, we can use the MS Access Query Wizard. Now how you do that is you need to make sure you're singly clicked on members. So you just have that clicked. So you've got members open and you've just clicked on the members part here in the side. Then you go create and query wizard. So you've got to go to the create tab and do query wizard. All right. Now, make sure your tables are closed and then single click in the members one to highlight it. Okay, so yeah, actually we should have had that members table closed, sorry. So you close all your tables, then you just single click on this to highlight it. Now, if you miss doing that, it doesn't matter. We'll show you how to fix it up later on. Then the main thing is you go and create query wizard, okay? So that's the main thing. Now, when you open up the query wizard, this window opens, and we just want to use the simple query wizard. So we just leave it on simple query wizard, and we click on the OK button. All right, now we only want 3 fields, last name, first name, and email. So if you were single clicked on members, this should already say table members. If that doesn't say members, if it said dogs instead, you need to use this down arrow and just make sure it's on members, and then we'll get all the member fields coming up in here. Now, how you select the ones you want, we want last name, first name, and email. You can double click on them here and they'll automatically go across there. Or you can just be single click to highlight it and then you use this across arrow. The double across moves all of them across. And if you make that mistake, you can use a double backwards to put them all back again, okay? And if you move something across accidentally, just use a single backwards to move it back again. I think if you play around with it, you'll get the idea. But anyway, we just want these 3 selected, last name, first name, and email address, okay? So you need to either use a single arrow to move them across, or you just double click on them while they're on the left hand side here, and you get just those 3 across there. Then we click on the next button, and what happens next when we click on that next button is we want to save it. So what do we want to have as the title? Well, we're going to call it members emails, and make sure this one's clicked, that we want to open the query and see what it's actually done and what our answer looks like, and then you click finish. And what will happen is the query will now run and you'll see the result on the screen. It says members emails for its name, which is really good. And we've got Juanita, Desiree, and Kylie, last name, first name, and we've got their email addresses. So that's worked out perfectly. That's our first query done, the email list for the members. Now, you should also see that as long as you're on all access objects, so click this little triangle arrowhead here and make sure it's on all access objects, and then you should see that there's one called queries and it's got members emails in it. All right. Okay, so as mentioned already, if your one is on tables and you don't see those queries, you have to click on that little arrowhead, and then for all of these, make sure you click on all access objects so it shows all access objects, and then you should see both tables and queries. Okay, now we need to save this query we've just made, so click on that arrow save button. All right, so I've got to save it, and then you just click on this part here of the query. There'll be an X over in the right hand corner of that window, and you just click on that to close it down because that one's finished. Okay, now what are we doing next? The following are all simple queries that only use one table, and you should be actually able to make them now using the query wizard. So go back in the video using the timeline index if you need to see how to use the query wizard again. But we want a phone list. So this time we're getting last name, first name, but not email address. We'll be getting phone list, and make sure you call that one phone list. And the other one, we want to get last name, first name, and both email address and phone number. And that one's going to be contacts list. Now, because they're all coming from one table, you should just be able to use a simple query wizard to make them. The phone list should just come out with the 3 members and their mobile phone numbers there. And the contacts list should come out with both email address and mobile number when you run those queries, okay? So pause the video here. Go use the timeline index to go back and watch the query wizard again if you need to, and then make these 2 queries. Okay, welcome back. There's also some queries which are simple queries for the member's dog, and so you should be able to make this one as well using the query wizard. So you just want a list of all dogs in the club that has dog name, breed, gender, registration number, and municipality, and save that as dogs list. However, for the following 2 queries, so use the query wizard to make that one as well, but you'll be using the dogs table, okay, not the members table. So it'll be members dogs as the table when you pick your table when you start up the wizard. Now, for these 2 queries below, we can't do them with the simple query wizard, even though we just want to get information out of the dogs table for both of these ones. It's only a 1 table query. We want to use some selection criteria. For the Kingston Regos, we want to have criteria of the municipality equals Kingston. And for the non-Kingston ones, we're going to have some criteria there that municipality equals non-Kingston Regos, okay? So this one's got some criteria in it, so we can't use the query wizard, all right? The query wizard is only good for very simple queries. Now we're getting into the other queries where we need to use the query designer. Okay, so just getting to that members dogs ones, you'll just make sure you're members dogs and create query wizard, make sure it's on table members dogs, and then you should be able to get the dog name, the breed, the gender, rego number, and municipality, and make sure you save that as dogs list. So that's that one that you can do with the query wizard. That's, I think, the last one we're going to be doing with the query wizard. And when that one runs, you should just get your list of dogs like this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dogs that are in the club, and it should now appear in your list of database objects under dogs list as one of the queries. Okay, so that's what you should have so far, those 4 queries now. All right, now notice that the above query has selected the following. So what this query has done is, here's the whole dogs table, and what we've managed to do by using the query wizard is we just managed to get the dog name and the breed, all of those records, and the gender, the registration number. Now notice they're in a different order to the table, and that's okay. That's what we can do with queries that's really good. We can put the dog name first, even though it was not first in the table, then breed, then gender, then municipality last. So we can reorder the order that was in the table any way we like to make our queries, so just be aware of that. Okay, now one issue with the dogs list is that the dogs' names are not in alphabetical order. If you have a close look at that, see Bessie here. Bessie should be up the top. So we need to just make it into alphabetical order. Now to do that, we have to start using design view. So double click on the query to open it up. So make sure you got the dogs list results opened up. Then you need to go view, and you need to go to design view, okay? So you've got to use that little arrow underneath here while you're on the home tab, that little arrowhead and get into design view. All right. Now in design view, it looks a lot different. It's going to look like this. And that's our actual table. And these are the actual fields we're selecting out for our query. Now, the thing is that Access, for some reason, always makes these too short. That's not all the information in the table. So you actually have to sort of hover your mouse over the bottom of the table without clicking the button. Just move your mouse there and these double arrows should appear. And then as soon as they appear, you push down your mouse button and then you can drag that down and make it bigger, okay? So you should be able to push down them. Once you get the double arrows, hover over, just move the mouse over it, get the double arrows, then click your left button and hold it down and stretch it down. Then you should be able to do this and get all of the information that's in the member dogs table, all right? So that's something you need to know about when we're working in design view on queries. And this part here, you can also get on that line and get a double arrow. If you move onto that line, get a double arrow, push down and pull that up a bit or push it down a bit. If this needs more space, you can push that down a bit to make more space, okay? So we can move this line as well by the same method. All right, click in the sort box in the dog name column. So in dog name column, there's a thing called field and table. So the field is dog name. We're getting out the members dogs table. There's a sort. And if you click in that field, this arrow will appear. And then you click on that arrow and we want ascending. That's going up in alphabetical order, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, and we're now ready to run the query, which we'll show you how to do on the next page. So there's two ways to run the query. You can change the datasheet view or click the exclamation mark. So you can just go view back to datasheet view and that should run the query. Or when you're in create mode, as long as you're on the create tab and you're working on your query in design view, there's an exclamation mark icon here to run it. So you can click that and that should run it as well. Okay, and now the dog names, Bessie, Coco, D-Mac, they're all in alphabetical order. Okay, so that's all worked out well. Now running a query, there's actually three ways. You can also go down the bottom right-hand corner and you can click on this guy here, which is datasheet view. This one over here with the pen writing on the page, that's design view. And SQL we're not going to look at, but you can use, that's design view, that's actually datasheet view. They're down the very bottom right-hand corner of Access, or you can be on the create tab and use run, or you can just go view and into datasheet view. So that's your three ways of running any query in MS Access, all right? Now we might just go into design view and just show you a few things, all right? Okay, so here we are in Access. And we're just going to be on the members table here. Now remember, this one needs to be, you might have it on tables and not see any queries. Remember, this one needs to be on all Access objects and just click that so you can see them all. Now you can see we've done all the queries for the lesson already, so we'll have to make a new one. So we're just going to be on members and we're going to create and we're going to query design, all right? Now the table we want to drag in for our query design is members. So the table we want to show is members, all right? So we show that one. Now, if we add it again and we've got it twice, you're going, oh no, that's a disaster. What do? I've got two members tables. Just right click on this one and say remove table. Now, it won't remove the table out of your database. It'll just remove it off this screen. Okay, so if you make a mistake, do that. Now, if we also needed the dogs table, and you said, oh no, I've forgotten to get the dogs table, what do? Just go here and there should be one to show table, okay? So just right click anywhere in this gray area and just go show table and then we can get the members dogs as well if we need them, all right? So that's that. Now for this query, we just want the dog name and the owner name, all right? So remember, you go to the bottom of these, move over that with your mouse. See the double arrowhead there? I'm just pushing down my left button now and holding it and I'm stretching that down so I can see everything, all right? And if you're wondering what this little line here was, this was back in lesson 1 when we built the relationship, that the member ID code in here has to match up with that one so we can tell whose dog is who, which is what we'll do now. We'll just get someone's first name. Now how you can do that, there's a few different ways. You can drag first name down into here. You can also just click this down arrow and grab first name. And we'll get last name now, but we'll do it a different way. You can double click to get last name and it just goes in the next available column. Now, what if you accidentally double clicked it again? Uh-oh, we've got 2 last names. Well, you can either change this one to what the next field's supposed to be, or if you want to knock out that whole column, it's a bit tricky. You have to see this little thin gray bar here. When you move your mouse there without pushing down the button, there's a tiny little black arrow. We'll try and zoom in so you can see it. And you click that. And then that whole column is highlighted. And then we right click on that. And there is no delete there, but we can cut it to get rid of it. Let's try another way. If we've got that all highlighted, we press the delete key on our keyboard, it deletes it, all right? So that's what to do if you make a mistake. All right, so we need first name, last name. Say we got confused and we did first name again. Oops, we weren't supposed to have first name there. Click in that little gray arrow so it's all highlighted. Press the delete key on your keyboard to get rid of it. Now we just want a first name, last name, and we want to know their dog name. So in the dogs table, we're just going to double click on dog name and in it goes. All right, and that's what we wanted. Now we want to sort it in alphabetical order, and we want it in, let's say we want it in dog name alphabetical order. So we just click in that one see this sort, all the boxes there for sorting. We want to sort dog name, so we click there and we just go ascending. Now we've decided also, we changed our mind, we want dog name to come first. What we can do is we click in that gray bar up the top to highlight all of that, and you can push down your mouse and you can move this along and slide it along. So it's now the first one. Okay, and then let's say we want last name, then first name. Click in the gray area of first name, and we'll just push down our mouse and move that over to here and let go of the mouse and drop it. Okay, anyway, finally, we're ready to run our query. So we can push that exclamation mark. We can go view, data sheet view, all right? Or you can go right down the bottom right-hand corner here and do this one. We'll try this one, which is just the same as doing datasheet view. And there we go. We've got all the dogs' names in alphabetical order. Bessie, Cindy, Coco. So they're all in alphabetical order. We've got the last name of the owner and the first name, all right? And then we can just save that query as, so we hit the save button up the top left-hand corner just then, and we'll just call that practice dog names and save it. And see now in our column here, we've got a new one called practice dog names. Okay, if you've got this in a tabbed document like we taught to you in the previous lesson, or if you use the start database, you actually grab the corner and shrink that and save it. And next time you come in, it'll just be that smaller size, okay? So you might see that on our answers database. You can actually resize these so they're not taking up the whole screen. You got to make sure you save them, then you close them, and when you reopen them, Access remembers how big they were. All right, that's all we're going to do in Access because we've got to get back to the lesson because it is a really long lesson. Okay, so remember we're doing these queries with criteria. And so before we do the next criteria style query, we actually need another member and dog added. So remember how we said we're going to add members and dogs as we went through the course. So you need to get Alicia McDonald. Her details are in the analysis design doc, which is part of the downloads for this lesson, the PDF. And the dog name's Lenny, and she's got another dog called Cindy. Okay, so we've got to get her added in. And the way we do the member ID code, remember, is you just start typing the letters of her last name, MCDON, and then Access will stop here because we've got that mask in from the previous lesson on validations. Then you put 001. All right, then McDonald, Alicia. Access will automatically put that in capital letters because we did that in the validation. She's at 45 Fleming Avenue, Hampton. So put all her details in. And then down the bottom of the dogs table, you'll need to put her 2 dogs in, okay? So pause the video and do that. Open up each table separately, just add those new rows in and save each table. Okay, with the new members in there, we're going to do 2 queries. A list of all the dogs that are registered in Kingston, so municipality equals Kingston for those ones. Then we're going to get that information from the database. Dog name, breed, gender, registration number, municipality. So we want just the Kingston ones. So see how the dog table now has got these two Bayside ones that we just added for Alicia. We just want these ones, the Kingston ones. So we want the Kingston ones and these bits of information for them. Not everything in the table, just those items from the table, just for Kingston. All right, so we're kind of doing a double select here. We're selecting 1, 2, 3, 4, these 5 columns, but we're only selecting the columns if the municipality value is Kingston, all right? And we're gonna do a query for that. Now for the second query where they're not the Kingston ones, and we get Alicia's 2 dogs that are in the Bayside municipality, we'll just do that by not equal to Kingston. In Access, you do a less than sign, then a greater than sign, which are down near the bottom right-hand corner of the keyboard near question mark, those 2 signs. You do that, then quotes Kingston, and we'll see how to do that as we go. So because we're extracting from a table with qualifying criteria, we have to use query design. So while we're on members dogs here, we just go create query design, okay, because we're going into query design. And then the table we want to use is the members dogs table. All right, so make sure it'll be clicked on members when you go in. Make sure you just single click members dogs and then click the add button, okay? Then you can just click the close button. So we need just to add the member dogs table to the query. All right, now member dogs should be there. Remember, as we showed you, you mouse over, get those double arrows and stretch it down a bit so you can see all of it. So then it should look like this on the screen. And then we're going to go to work in this bottom half here, getting the fields we need by double clicking them. And we're also going to do that criteria of equals Kingston as well. All right, so use the mouse to double click. And what we're going to do is we'll want dog name first. So in this table, you double click dog name first and it goes in there. Then the second one is double click breed. It should drop into there. Double click on gender and that should go there. Remember how you can go to this gray bar here and highlight them all in black and delete them if you need to. Rego number, then municipality. So we've got all those across there. So we've done all that. And there's one thing left to do, which is add the criteria. Now see down here, it's got criteria. So all these boxes along that row are criteria boxes, but we want to do the box for municipality, all right? So on municipality, what we're going to do is we're going to put equals Kingston. So all those criteria boxes just stay empty, but in the municipality column, click in this box and type equals quotes Kingston, exactly like it is there. Then when you run the query, it should bring out everything in the right order like we set it up here, and it's just bringing out the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Kingston dogs. So that's beautiful, and that's all working really nicely. All right, so that one's done. So just a query to get some information, but we wanted to select certain information, so I had to use equals quote Kingston in there. So make sure you save the queries up in the top left-hand corner of your screen. You'll see that save icon. Click on that, and this one's called Kingston Regos without any space in between, and click OK. All right, now the other query needs to be written by you. So the non-Kingston Regos, you can do the same way, except instead of typing in equals Kingston in that criteria box, you're going to be typing less than sign, greater than sign, then no space, quote Kingston, all right? And when you run that, you should have the non-Kingston Regos query, and these 2 dogs, which are municipality that's not equal to Kingston, is equal to Bayside, they should come up, all right? So you need to write that second query for the not Kingston ones and save that query as non-Kingston Regos. That's the name of that query. All right, so pause the video and do that. You might need to use a timeline index just to go back and look at how we did the equals Kingston ones, and then you have to do the not equals Kingston ones on your own. Should know how to do it. Shouldn't be too hard. Okay, now we get into query design using 2 tables. So if you haven't taken a break during the video, now would be a good time, and then to come back fresh to this part, because this is fairly complicated. Now I've been going 30 minutes too, so it's probably a good time to take a break and just use the timeline index to come back to where we start work with 2 tables. All right, the next 2 queries involve both data from the members table and the dogs table, and we also need to do sorting. So when we want the dog owners, we want to get stuff out of the dogs table about the dog, but then we want to get the member name and phone number as well out of a different table, out of the members table. And we also want to do another query for the dogs not desexed. And again, it's from the members table and it's from the dogs table. So it involves two tables. So we start by creating on the create tab. So you don't have to be clicked on a table. You just go create and we want to do query design. Okay, so that's our first step. Now, our next step is when we add in tables, it'll be have members highlighted. So click add to add the members table. Then you need to also go down and highlight, single click to highlight members dogs and also add that one. So we're going to add two tables in for this query, and then you just click the close button on that pop-up box. All right, so make sure both tables get added to the query, and then as usual the tables will come in. They're going to be too small and you'll have to stretch the bottoms out to make them fit better like that so we can see all the fields in them. And now we need to work on what we wanted for this particular query. Some information out of members and some information out of dogs, and we want to get it in a certain order too. All right, so the order we want to get it in is dog name, breed, gender from the dogs table, and then member name and phone from the members table. All right, so you start off by double clicking dog name because that's the first thing that's wanted in the query, and then dog name should go down in here. And the next one we need is breed. So double click on breed and double click on gender. And that's the three you need from the dogs club. So they should all be in there. Okay, from the dogs table, sorry. And notice the table name, it says they're from members dogs as well. Then we need to move over to the members tables and double click last name, then double click first name, then double click mobile number. And then those fields there that came from the members table should go into our query. So we're joining, this is called a table join. We're joining information from the dogs table to the members table. And the magic that makes them join up is this member ID code. I can find for a dog, this member ID code for the dog. Go look up that same member ID code in members and make sure you get the right matching last name and first name of the person that owns that dog. So that's called a table join. Now the sort, we also want to do some sorting here. It says sort this list alphabetically by breed and dog name. So on dog name and breed, you go to this sort box and you click the down arrow there and you make them both ascending. So when you click on that box, a little arrowhead will appear here. Click the arrowhead and make them both ascending. All right, so don't forget to add the sort criteria as well. And then that's that query done. We've got a dog with its dog owner. That's little Murphy poking out his tongue being silly down the beach, and he's all sopping wet. He went for a great swim. We had a great morning down the beach that morning. All right, so, and he was here asleep. I don't know where he's gone. He's gone somewhere. I try and time these videos so he's asleep when I make him. Okay, so run the query using the question mark icon or by changing to datasheet view. And this is what you should get. It should list out the dogs. Notice they're in alphabetical order here. It's got breed, their gender, and then it has the correct owner for each dog. Because remember, Juanita has 3 dogs. She's got that lovely chalky brown lab pup. She's got a Kelpie, and she's got that giant big black Labrador retriever as well. If you had a look in lesson 1, you would have seen her dogs. And she runs a dog club and she loves dogs. So that's why she's got 3 of them. And see, there's her phone number 3 times. So that's all working beautifully. And all 7 dogs. So we just check this. If we look in the members dogs table, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dogs altogether. And we did get all 7 dogs out of the table. But notice for their names, Lenny is the first one in the table. That's not in alphabetical order. But Bessie B does come first. So it has been sorted into alphabetical order as well. And that's a lot more compact and better to use for our purposes than having to look at the whole big table and then try and figure out, Alvar 001, I wonder who that is. Okay, I'll open up the members table and I'll look at Alvar 001. This, through the magic of that foreign key joining of the tables, has worked out that's Juanita Alvarez and put her in there. So we don't have to mess around with member IDs from the dogs table and trying to look them up in the members table, okay? Access does all that for us. That's one of the big powers of Access, table joins. And so there's a little puppy, and I bet it grows quickly into a very big dog. Murphy and I saw a big, not sure what it was, a Malamute this morning when we were on our walk, and the Malamute didn't want to play, which was good because I was worried it would eat Murphy. It was giant. Now, click the save icon, so up the top left-hand corner of the screen should have the save icon. This one's called dog owners. So save this one as dog owners and then click OK. All right, now the other two tables query you're going to do is the desexed one. And we need this information from the dogs table, the dog name, the year born. So we just want those two things. We want the member first name and the member last name, plus the email and mobile phone of the member, okay? So we're going to be getting stuff from the dogs and the members, so you need to make sure you bring both tables in the query. Now, the criteria, you want the desex field equals no. We want all the ones that aren't desexed. So when you drag in that desex, now it doesn't list the desex column here. Oh, that's very tricky, Passy. How did that happen? Well, you need to bring in the desex one so you can do the criteria, but you do a little clever trick. You untick this box right here so that it won't actually show up on the output query. Okay, so when we're bringing in fields that we want to use for the query by double clicking them, you also double click desex, but then you untick this and it won't show up in the output. And we'll show you what we mean. Notice that the desexed field hasn't showed up here, but we've got all the other information we need. And Bessie is actually the only dog which isn't desexed. And I think we need our dog debarked. Murphy, what are you barking at? We're making a video. Go and sit down. Right, okay then, so that's that. And that is Alicia with her beagle Bessie right there. Now click the save icon and we're saving this query as dogs not desexed, okay? So when you finish this one, you save it as dogs not desexed, then click OK. All right, so I think we're now into the very last queries, which are the calculation ones. So let's get into it. In this final query, we're going to learn how to do a calculation and a number answer. So this is for the overdue fees. We want a list of members who haven't paid their full $60 membership fee yet. All right, so the first thing to do is, go into query design. We just need the members table, just one table, so bring that in. Now the fields we're going to need are, we'll need to know who the person is, so double click on last name, first name. We need to know how to contact them, so obviously email address and mobile number better be included as well. And then we want to do our selection criteria that the fees paid amount is less than 60. So we want the ones that haven't paid their full $60. So in the criteria box for fees paid, you do a less than sign, an arrowhead to the left, and no spaces and put 60. But we are going to display that criteria one here. So we have not unticked that, okay? And when you run that, what'll happen is there's two people, Desiree and Kylie, who have paid nothing. They've paid $0. Well, we need to chase them up because we've got to get $60 out of each of them, all right? So we've got their email and their phone number so we can follow them up. So that's all working beautifully. Now, what if they were a person who paid the half yearly fee, $30, or maybe they've made a payment of $20, but they've still got to find the other $40. We're going to do a calculation to find out how much money they owe at the moment, all right? So the annual fee is $60, and how much they owe, that's how much they've paid, $0. How much they still owe will be membership fee minus the fees paid amount. So these people have all paid nothing, but let's say Kylie had paid $40 here, all right? It should work out 60 minus 40. She has 20 that she owes, okay? So this is going to do a calculation in the database. Now, how you do the calculation is, see how we got all these empty fields off to the right? You just go in the first one of those, and that's where we're going to add our calculation formula to do a calculation. Okay, now we do this in design view while we're on our query, and we'll see that on the next slide. So click into that empty field here, and if you right click on that field, so right mouse button click, don't click this down arrow, right mouse click and go to zoom, and then you'll have the zoom box. And you should know the zoom box if you've done our validation lesson, because we use the zoom box a lot. So right clicking in that next blank one here, and we're just zooming in to make a zoom box. And what we're going to put in the zoom box is the formula. Now in Access, we don't use an equal symbol, we use double dots for equals. And quite a few programming languages do that actually. It's not just Access, but we need to use double dots. So rather than say fees owed equals, like we would maths style, we actually go fees owed double dots, Then we do square brackets membership fee minus square brackets fees paid amount. Now why they're in square brackets is they're actually two fields which are in the members table. So when we're quoting a field name, we have to put it in square brackets. You could also put numbers in here. So you could put a plus 100 as well on that formula if you wanted to. But if you want to get it out of the database, you've got to put square brackets around it. So you need to put into your Zoom box that formula exactly like this. So it needs to look exactly like that or it won't work. And then click the OK button. And then I think we've got our formula and our calculation all set up. So if we run that query, it does calculate how much fees are owed, okay? So it does put that they both owe 60 because the membership fee is 60, 60 minus 0 will be a full $60, all right? Now, let's just have a look at what it would happen if they had paid something. Okay, so we're over in Access and we'll go to our members table and I think it was Kylie has paid $0. All right, let's make it here so that Kylie's paid $40. So we'll just change that and press enter and we've now got $40. She hasn't paid a full 60, the membership fee. So that was membership fee that we're using in our formula and we're using fees paid amount. We're doing this one minus that one. So for Kylie, our query should do 60 minus 40 and come up with $20. But we need to go to the members table. So we double click that, open it up. We've changed it to 40. Now we need to save it. So when you close it, it should automatically save it. Let's just go back into the members table. Yes, she is down for paying $40. Okay, so when we run our overdue fees query, notice here that Kylie now, it's got her down as paying $40 and the fees owed are $20. Okay, so it has worked it out all right. What if we go back to the members table and we put that, let's see, who is it? It's Desiree. Desiree's paid $59. Why didn't she just pay the full 60? We don't know. Nobody knows. When we run the overdue fees list, see, it'll tell us that Desiree has paid $59. She owes $1. So it has done 60 minus 1. And for Kylie, it has done 60 minus 40. So that's why we want that formula, because they can just pay partial amounts. We want to know how much they still owe, how much they still have to pay. Alrighty, so click the save icon and save the query as overdue fees list. And that completes our queries learning work for this lesson. So well done if you made it this far and understood everything and got it all done. That is absolutely fabulous. So queries are done. So what we have done, we've done all 9 of those queries. So they should be showing up in your all access items here. Underneath queries is those 9 queries right there. And you should have your member emails one that we built with Query Wizard. We built phone lists with Query Wizard. We built contacts list with Query Wizard. Then we had to use Query Wizard one more time to make dogs list. So those first 4 queries there were all done with the Query Wizard. Then we had to get into design view to do more sophisticated things where we were joining up information from the members and the dogs table and getting our dogs owner table. And also we joined up members and dogs tables to get this one, Bessie, the one that hasn't been desexed yet. Okay, and we did our Kingston Regos with municipality equals Kingston. We did our non-Kingston with municipality not equal to Kingston. And then finally we did our overdue fees list, number 9. And we got all that working. So that's great. We've done all 9 queries for the database. Great project. So now, great progress. And now we need to save the database. So remember, you have to go to the file up the top and then do save as. So make sure you're on save as and it's got database type access database. Then you click the save as button, but it's not all over yet. You need to navigate to where you're doing it. So ours is in a folder called L3 Queries SDC. This one we're going to call SDC Queries Finished because we finished it. So make sure you got a good name there for it. Don't just call it DB or something. Have a meaningful name and click save. Now, if it does ask you to replace something that's already there, just say yes on that. All right, so now we've got our tables. Where are our tables at? Well, we've got 4 of the members in the tables and we've got all of these dogs in the tables. Now remember, we are going to still, if you looked at the analysis doc, there's still quite a few members and dogs to add in, but we'll be adding them in probably when we do the forms lesson to check that the forms are working all right. Now, what have we done so far? We've done lesson 1, creating the database tables. Lesson 2, that really long lesson on validation. Lesson 3, a really long lesson on queries. The pattern is emerging here. We've still got screen forms to do, input masks on those screen forms, make some drop-down lists on the screen forms, add member and dog images to the screen forms. Then we're going to create reports, do the main menu switchboard and the fancy opening splash screen for the application. Now, what do we do next? Well, we might jump around actually. We might do reports, which hopefully won't be a really long lesson because the hard work is building the query. Once you've got a query, it's very easy to format it into a nice report that you can print out on as a PDF file to email someone or on an actual piece of paper if you're still printing on paper. So I might jump and do that one, which I promise should be a nice short lesson since you've been doing these long ones, okay? So remember, the lessons and the order you need to do them in are all on the Passie's World of ICT website. Just click on MS Access SDC for the beginners course, Southern Dog Club. MS Access is the more advanced course for senior students. So we recommend do this one first, the beginners, then maybe try that one if you need more learning. So click on there, it'll show the lessons and the order you need to do them. And that's the end of this lesson. And it says tables validation up the top. Oops, what went wrong there? It should say database queries, end of validation and masks lesson. Oh, no. Oh, right, wrong at the very last slide. We'll show you the magic behind here. So that was database queries, wasn't it? Oh, Passie, what a disaster. End of. And can you hear Murphy messing around? He's flicking some bit of wood or something around. I have to go see what he's up to. Goodness knows what he might have destroyed. End of database queries lesson. It's all falling to pieces right at the end. All right, so that's the end of database queries lesson. And give it a big thumbs up, because it told you a lot of useful stuff about how to use MS Access. And subscribe to our channel so you can see when the next videos are coming out that we do. And the more subscribers, the better it is. And that's about it. We'll see you in the next lesson.